Okay then guys, here we go with a deliciously moist squash and coconut cake. So for this we need a squash, I'm using a Zephyr squash again, some light brown sugar, desiccated coconut, plain flour, baking powder, unsalted butter and a couple of eggs and a tot of rum. Yes, the rum goes in the cake, but if the cake goes wrong you can always drink the rum, you know what I mean. And the bits on the right are for the topping right at the end. We have icing sugar, Greek yoghurt, mascarpone and a lemon. So here we go then, and as usual all the ingredients, quantities and method are in the description down below. First off then, peel the squash and we're going to grate it, and this time I'm using my food processor for grating. My wrists are still aching from using the hand grater on the last recipe, the relish recipe. Set the grated squash to one side and weigh out the rest of your ingredients. Good little tip here, just we all do it out of habit, but just make sure that the scales are zeroed before you put things on. I've done it before now and it's been on say 25 and well the weights are all wrong, you know. So the butter, the flour, about 75 grams of the desiccated coconut to go in the cake mix. We'll use the rest at the end for decorating. Last but not least, weigh out the soft brown sugar. And it does help if you keep most of it in the bowl. Okay then, on with the food mixer. It's a special paddle, that one, for creaming. It's got a silicone rubber edge to the blade and it wipes down the side of the bowl. It's really, really handy actually. It's the sage mixer, this one. I think it's called Breville in America. Anyway, we're going to cream together the sugar and the butter. Now, if it was white sugar, I'd say cream it till it was light and fluffy, but it's not really going to go light because it's brown sugar. Ends up being less brown and fluffy. It's hard to describe. You can just about see what I mean there, look. Okay, in with the eggs. You can beat these first if you want. I didn't bother. Well, they're going to get mixed up anyway in the bowl, aren't they? And when we got a nice gooey sloppy mess, in with the grated squash. You could use courgette, zucchini or marrow for this recipe. Just as easy and exactly the same ingredients really. A little bit of different taste at the end obviously. Give it all a good mixing and then in with the baking powder. Now I used a heaped tablespoon for this. I thought it was going to be quite a wet mix, so I wanted that little bit of extra rise. In with the flour. Trying to put it in a little bit at a time, but it never works out. In with the rum. No, don't drink it. In with the rum. And in with the coconut. Rum and coconut. I wonder if I put pineapple in, give a pina colada cake. Here we are, then give it all a good mixing. About 2 or 3 minutes just to get it all blended together. Here we are, all mixed up. Time to get it in the cake tin or loaf tin. I tell you what, those inserts are really, really handy. I'll put a link in the description below for you. You can get them for £1 or £2 cake tins. Oh, this is a £2 cake tin, by the way. Whatever that is in metric kilogram. They still use pounds for cake tins, don't they? I don't know why. It's 23 centimetres long anyway. Give the mix a good podging to force it into the corners. Sort of helps get rid of a few air bubbles as well, but they sort themselves out in the oven. And then it's in the oven, 170 Celsius fan for 50 minutes to an hour. I'll put the imperial units in the description for you. While it's baking, go and grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit down for a minute, and half an hour before it's due out the oven, start making the topping. So we're zesting the lemon, and then we're going to get the juice out of it as well. Quite a handy little tool, that zester there. I'll tell you what, well, so is this juicer as well. These little gadgets you find, isn't they? Trying to tilt it over so you can see what I'm doing. Weigh out about 100 grams of the icing sugar. Transfer it to your mixing bowl. I could have weighed it in the mixing bowl, but I wanted you guys to see the numbers on the scales. In with the lemon juice. And we're going to add about 150 grams, 150 ml of both the mascarpone and the Greek yoghurt. Just pure guesswork. Now, if you want a stiffer icing, I'd say put less yoghurt in. It wasn't runny, but it was soft. If you want a hard icing, less yoghurt, maybe more sugar. And now we're going to beat it all together. I'm using a handheld electric mixer for this one. You can use a bloom whisk if you want. It's going to mix it till it's light and fluffy. It takes about 2.5 minutes. 3 minutes. Right, and just before the cake is ready in the oven, about 10 minutes before, put about 50 grams of the desiccated coconut onto a baking sheet and pop it in the oven. We're going to toast this just as the cake's finishing off. Saves wasting energy, doesn't it? Now guys, don't do as I do, do as I say. Those silicone inserts in the cake tin are not for carrying a hot tin. They're there just to provide extra grip with a tea towel or oven gloves. While I was talking there, you saw me do the skewer test. Poke a skewer into the centre of the cake. If it comes out dry and not sticky, then the cake is done. And this cake took about 55 minutes at 170 Celsius in a fan oven. I've eased the cake tin liner off a little bit just to help with the cooling of the cake. And when the cake is completely cool, it's time to put on the topping. Now you can put as much or as little as you want on really. I used a palette knife, always easier with a palette knife. Spread it all over. I made far too much of the topping, and what I could have done is spread it all over like I am now, let it set a little bit and then put another layer on top. But I was so desperate to taste it for you. And last but not least, sprinkle over the toasted coconut. Be careful because the tray will be warm. Right then guys, one thing left to do and have a quick taste I reckon. Well, it looks moist enough. Here we go then. Yep, that'll do for me. Oh, yeah. That's a keeper. Lovely and moist. The coconut's in there, the lemon in the icing. Oh, that is lovely. That is lovely. Excuse me, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Stay tuned for more recipes.